a body in a Tesla, a girl's name scattered across leaked songs, and footage that just won't stop resurfacing online. At first, it looked like just another celebrity scandal, the kind that comes and goes in the endless churn of internet gossip. But as days turned into weeks, the story only got darker, and what started as whispers about David has grown into a storm that refuses to quiet down. The first spark came from a single video. What looked like an ordinary clip from one of David's concerts suddenly took on a new, sinister light. In the footage, fans swear they see Celeste, the same Celeste who would later be discovered in David's Tesla, standing not in the crowd but in a balcony seat next to David's own brother. The moment is chilling because David himself looks up, notices the balcony and waves directly toward her. That single wave felt like a confirmation to thousands watching online. She wasn't just another face in the crowd. She was someone he recognized, someone connected to him in a way no one could ignore. As the clip spread, people started digging deeper. It wasn't just the footage anymore, it was the timing, the location, the context. If Celeste was really at that concert, then the timeline of her disappearance just got tighter. Fans started comparing her outfit in the video to police reports, noticing the eerie similarities. A black tube top, the same hairstyle. And suddenly, what was once a blurry fan recording became the centerpiece of a growing theory. Was this the last time Celeste was seen alive? But the internet didn't stop there. Around the same time, a new David track leaked online, one that sent chills through his fan base. The lyrics described blood-stained seats, a detail far too close to the reality of what police later found inside his Tesla. To some, it felt like more than coincidence. To others, it was proof that David had been hiding his secrets in plain sight, weaving them into his music while the world danced along, clueless. It was almost as if his songs were confessions dressed up as art. The timeline surrounding Celeste's disappearance only made the story harder to shake. She'd been listed as a missing person since the year before. She was just 13 when she vanished, and according to reports, she was only 14 when her life was cut short. Her body was discovered on September 8th, one day after what would have been her 15th birthday. That detail alone was haunting, but it was the gap between when she was last seen and when she was found that fueled endless speculation. Her friends said they last heard from her in August, and now, with footage placing her at David's Silver Spring concert in late August, it seemed like the timeline had narrowed to mere days. The Tesla, which was towed on September 5th, became the final piece of the puzzle, sitting abandoned until her body was found inside just 3 days later. Every timestamp, every blurred image, every lyric turned into evidence in the court of public opinion. TMZ added fuel to the fire when they reported that sources connected to the case insisted the girl in the concert footage wasn't Celeste. But instead of clearing things up, that only made it stranger. If it wasn't her, then why did she look so much like her? Why were there suddenly so many women in David's circle who resembled Celeste almost perfectly? And why, of all names, was he now linked to another girl who also happened to be named Celeste? To many, it looked less like coincidence and more like obsession. People began connecting dots that painted an even darker picture. Within David's inner circle, whispers suggested that his relationship with Celeste wasn't exactly a secret. Friends admitted they'd assumed the two were together, and many claimed they genuinely thought she was older, around 18 or 19, because of the way she carried herself. She was spotted at industry parties and exclusive events, places with strict age restrictions. To outsiders, her presence in those settings made it seem like she was of age. Later, it came out that she'd been using multiple fake IDs, and suddenly those blurred lines between reality and illusion became central to the story. That excuse, though, hasn't sat well with the public, because whether or not David believed Jay was older, the fact remains that her real age was 14. And as more footage and stories emerged, the line between negligence and willful ignorance started to blur. Fans pointed out that he'd been out in public with her more than once, not hiding anything, almost daring people to notice. And now that people were finally paying attention, it was impossible to look away. The Los Angeles house tied to David's circle only made things worse. Rented for $20,000 a month, the property was lined with security cameras covering every corner, the front, the back, even the street outside. But here's the catch. Only the tenant had access to the recordings, and the tenant wasn't David. It was his manager. According to reports, LAPD searched the property, but no one knows if they managed to pull those recordings. If they did, those cameras could hold the one piece of evidence that explains everything. If they didn't, then the answers might still be locked away in a server only David's team controls. Around the same time that lease was signed, an old TikTok comment resurfaced that stopped people in their tracks. Back in February, someone had posted directly under one of David's own videos. Waiting for LAPD to get your butt for messing with a 13-year-old girl. The comment, chilling in hindsight, seemed to foreshadow everything that would follow. The irony of it being left under a post promoting his song, Leave Her, wasn't lost on anyone. At the time, the comment barely made waves. Now, it looks like a red flag that was ignored by everyone except the anonymous user who left it behind. The discovery of that comment lined up perfectly with the timing of the Los Angeles house lease, leaving people to question whether the two were connected. Was it just coincidence? Or had rumors already been circulating within certain circles long before the story went public? Online detectives couldn't help but wonder if David's manager knew more than he'd let on, and why exactly he was so eager to cut ties with the property after the scandal broke. Meanwhile, fans and critics alike turned back to David's older content, scouring it for clues they might have missed. Old Instagram lives where he casually mentioned being with someone who understood him suddenly looked different. Lyrics about forbidden love, once dismissed as edgy art, now sounded like veiled references. Even throwaway comments in interviews were being picked apart. It was as though his entire career had been rebranded in real time, with every old video, every lyric, every photo now viewed through the lens of suspicion. The fallout has been brutal. Concert tours canceled, albums pulled from streaming platforms, collaborators quietly deleting photos and erasing credits, industry insiders unfollowing him in droves, eager to distance themselves before the story grows even bigger. What once looked like a rising career now looks like a free fall, and the silence from David's camp has only made things worse. Each day, without an explanation, only convinces more people that there's something to hide. What makes this all even more disturbing is how public so much of it seems to have been. Multiple people now admit they saw David with Celeste in public, some even claiming they knew her real age, yet no one said anything at the time. It wasn't hidden in shadows or tucked away behind closed doors. It was happening in plain sight. And that realization has left fans questioning not just David, but everyone around him. How much did they know? How deep does this go? And why did it take the discovery of a body in his car for people to finally start speaking up? Even as the scandal spirals, David still hasn't been officially named as a suspect. No charges have been filed. On paper, he remains a free man, still cooperating with authorities. But socially, the trial is already underway, and the verdict from the public has been swift and merciless. Every new leak, every resurfaced clip, every rumor pushes him further into the spotlight, not as a star, but as someone the world wants answers from. The internet has become its own investigative force, unearthing details faster than authorities release them. Screenshots, Discord leaks, TikTok theories, it's a non-stop flow of content, each piece fueling the next. And while investigators move carefully behind the scenes, online detectives are building their own case, connecting dots whether or not those connections hold up in court. What's left is a story that feels unfinished, suspended in limbo. David hasn't been cleared. He hasn't been charged. And in that gap, speculation fills the void. Fans rewatch old footage, dissect lyrics, and trade theories in comment sections, convinced that the truth is already in front of them. The only question left is when, or if, the official story will finally catch up to the one the internet has already written. So now the question lands on you. Do you believe David's circle truly didn't know what was happening? That they were all fooled by appearances and fake IDs? Or was it something darker? A collective decision to look away while the signs were right in front of them? The truth may still be buried in unreleased footage, in unexamined lyrics, or in testimonies yet to surface. But one thing is certain. This story is far from over, and every day brings another piece that makes the puzzle even harder to ignore. And while the world waits for authorities to take their next step, the court of public opinion has already delivered its own judgment. Whether David is ever officially charged or not, his name will forever be tied to Celeste, to the Tesla, and to the storm of suspicion that refuses to fade. Because sometimes the scariest part of a story isn't what's confirmed. It's the questions that linger, the pieces that don't fit, and the silence that says more than words ever could. What do you think? Did his circle really not see the truth? Or did they choose not to? Drop your thoughts below because this case isn't going away anytime soon.